We're not hearing you, Sarah.
She muted.
We're not hearing you, Sarah.
So
I think she was going to say the first thing we should do is get a chair.
I think that's correct. Is there anybody who's interested?
wow.
This is just like
Feeling unprepared. I don't know if I am ready to be the chair. This is only my second meeting.
Well, do we have to record? Well, you, I, and 2 or 3 others will all be first meetings.
Yeah.
So you're as
Yeah, I think it's pretty big turnover. I think Margie, how long have you been on? 6 months or so?
no, a little over a year.
Oh yeah, you're a pre-COVID. That's right. 'Cause we did a couple meetings before.
Yeah.
And Colleen, I think, was a little longer than that.
Yeah, she was here when I came.
Sarah joined in
months.
2020, I believe. Matt's the only kind of old timer. I've done it for a few years, but yeah.
I mean, I could be chair.
I think
I'm willing to be chair, but the thing is, I'm not that, I've got, ideas and I could lead a meeting. I'm just not that familiar with Radnor Township with, like Matt was more familiar with the goings on and the commissioners and all of this. My familiarity with the township is not that great, but I guess I could learn.
I think that the main requirement for this role is the willingness to do it. I think that's there's it's not an enormously high bar. And I think it's mostly knowledge of the township is probably helpful, but Sarah, who hopefully can hear us, even if we can't hear her, has a ton of that knowledge. So I don't think you have to worry about personally having it to be the chair. Now, I'm not saying you should or shouldn't do it, but I don't think that should be a stumbling block for you.
Jim, given this meeting is kind of organizational, do we have to record this one? Is it a requirement?
It's recording. I don't know. I think that's just the way they do it. I think it's automatic.
Yeah, I think it is.
I doubt anybody is going to go watch it, but maybe they do.
I think that's unlikely. I told my kid once, I guess it streams on like the public access channel. And I told my kids to watch it once. I think they watched for 30 seconds. They're like, that's fun and it's super boring. So
you can go back and watch all of these on YouTube. I've seen it. I don't watch them. I've seen that you can do it. But,
so Margie, you said you're willing to do it?
Yeah, I mean, unless a lot of other people want to.
Well, Margie, you could always volunteer for it, and then, in 6 months or whenever, you guys could decide on somebody else.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not
and by then the young folks will be initiated.
There you go. Yeah, let Sid and Danelle get a couple more meetings under their belt, and then they can take the reins. Yeah.
Maybe interim chair, Margaret, if you don't want to have the.
Well, I can just be chair, but yeah. So I will have to inform myself a little bit more about the goings on, really. Yeah. But you're right, Sarah is quite, with having attended all the commissioners' meetings. I don't think she's hearing us now.
No, I got knocked off, so I just got.
There she is.
Okay.
Restart the computer and the whole shooting match.
Okay.
And
well,
I
actually I can hear the wind whipping outside. It's probably making the connections unstable.
But Margaret, you're great to do it. And, in my back pocket, once you guys settle down, I've got a proposal for you from the Ready for 100 piece. So, but I'll wait till you say, okay, we can listen to you.
Okay. So I guess we should have a vote though on this, right?
All in favor, aye.
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 All
right.
We're not hearing anything from Ian.
Well,
I think Ian is our technical.
He's the technical.
Oh, okay. See, this is what I know. Okay.
So yeah, Margie, I think Yeah. And it's Ben Cooper. I'll tell you what, after this meeting, I will
Yes.
email Ben and I will CC you on it.
Okay,
I'll just let him know that you decided to take over for Matt.
okay,
And then he'll be your contact for the meeting. And I think you'll send him the agenda and either he or you can send out the Zoom link each month.
okay. Okay, so maybe we could just now spend the rest of the time, proposing some initiatives. Sarah said she had something. The one initiative I have, it connects with, knowing about Radnor Township, and that is, since we're an advisory committee, maybe we need to be a little more informed about some of the, and Sarah, you do seem to know about some of them.
Well, that's because I go to every meeting.
I know. Some of the plans that Radnor Township has to do. I don't know if any of you, I know Matt lives right near me, but if any of you know all of the work that's being done on Morris Avenue, the one that leads to Wawa
Yeah.
So, I mean, they must have spent tens of thousands of dollars on
right.
removing those cherry trees.
Try $800,000 for the project.
Oh my
They're
God.
doing new sidewalks. They're doing not
I know,
planet
I
edging.
live a block away.
Well, that's not all else they're doing. The Dodo Hamilton's properties being
I know you mentioned
developed
that one.
with 44 townhouses. Walnut and Radnor Street is being rezoned, and they're going to be 20 houses. They just did the plans for development on South Ithan. That's going to be 8. And I got to get back to it tonight. There's a meeting next week, and all of this is by Zoom. So you can actually go on the YouTube logo that's at the bottom of the township webpage, and you can see all these meetings after they've had it.
Okay.
But I don't know whether any of you, because you all live west, I think. There used to be an organization called The Village on Roberts Road. It was for delinquent youth. And they've given up. They've moved to town because they want to integrate the parents who mostly live in Philadelphia with the kids. So that's going to be 40 acres that's going to be redeveloped.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I really urge you to just watch the YouTubes after the meetings, the next day, 2 days, 3 days. It's up there for months to begin to get an idea. The meetings are all Zoom now, so you don't have a place to go to.
Sarah,
Right.
Yeah.
what drives your passion and interest in attending these meetings?
I believe in justice for all people. My dad was very involved in the beach town that he retired to in 1972, and he saw what was going on. So he was a Republican, he got himself elected as a Republican, and he started a newsletter because the town in the winter ran the town, but the majority of the town were people who spent the summer, and they had not a clue how money was being spent. And when I say he started a newsletter, he had a typewriter and he typed it out and had it printed himself and paid the postage. Well, eventually they got shamed into it. And then they got mad at him, so they wouldn't back him as a Republican for election, so he ran as an independent. So I watched how he got involved in politics. And I live in what one realtor to my face 2 years ago said, well, you live in the Camden of Radnor Township. And that pissed me off. So, and I live alone. I have no nightlife, so I go to meetings. But I find it fascinating. And if you don't advocate for yourself, you're going to get screwed, frankly.
Yeah.
Just get screwed. We have to advocate for ourselves.
So, yeah, I mean, you certainly are well informed on this. My concern, my first concern, though, is more than all these development projects, which of course should be a huge concern of our committee, is the fact that Radnor Township themselves are spending our taxpayer money on something that is quite environmentally unfriendly. I mean, they have removed all of those trees at a great cost.
Yep.
And in an area that is so susceptible to flooding, and without all those roots, I mean, they've removed, just meters and meters of roots that took up water into the trees. And they're not even putting drainage pipes into all of this. And it's a really, really environmentally unfriendly
People
project.
don't speak up, Margaret. They're going to do it the way they've always done. Here's a little piece. The township is going to borrow $16 million to pay for what is essentially 3 stormwater projects. North Wayne, the South Wayne parking lot, which will go into the middle school that they paid over $2 million to drill holes down 10 years ago, and what they call the West Wayne Preserve now, which is near you on Conestoga Road. 16 million.
At least it's for something for stormwater.
Yeah, but I agree with you. But we have to watch. So let me tell you what I want to propose to you. It's an invitation. Our transition plan, energy transition plan, is coming to the Board of Commissioners on the 8th of February, when the professionals will make a presentation to the Board of Commissioners. And we're asking for them to accept the report. No money, because there really is no money, but to accept the report. And then we're coming back within 3 weeks. And I've spent all afternoon translating 4 pages on a Google Docs spreadsheet into trying to make it 1-page Excel tactics that we're going to go back to them. And so we, the green team, Robin Mann used to be on EAC, are inviting the EAC to come and join us on these projects. A lot of it is going to be education, which I know is going to be a little bit more difficult because of COVID. But we have 7 categories. One is to build the commitment, and that's to the public and commercials. The other is advocacy opportunities, which could be, a lot of it is legislative, which again is education. The third is energy efficiency of existing buildings, which is home energy audits and having the township building. We have the energy audit, actually start to implement it. And we're going to talk the township into doing a performance RFP, which means they get 50% of the savings for the first year. The savings are permanent. It is such inconsequential things as the soda machines down by the police station. The lights aren't on 24 hours a day. When you walk up to it, the lights go on, and when you walk away, the lights go off. I don't even know what the word is. Right now, all the offices, if you walk in, the lights go on and the shades go down. So they would have a light switch when you go in, the lights will go on, and then you choose. I mean, a lot of it is very simple. The calculation from PICO is they can save $30,000 to $40,000 a year just on the township building. That's one of the things. For existing buildings, doing electrification, buying green energy, changing the purchasing agreements. One of the commissioners never would take a fixed price for the energy. He thought maybe the price would get better. So they're paying a variable price and they're really not saving money. For new construction, what Sid was interested in, which is net zero ordinances, which is getting them to use heat pumps, good Energy Star, good roofs. Ideally, all the roofs face south so that you could do solar panels.
Sarah?
Community education, transportation, and then filling in the gaps. And we would love, once it's done, and I get this thing on one page, I can send it around and see if anybody would like to join any of the work teams. Because I know, Sid, you were very interested when I talked about wanting to get the township to change the saldo so there would be requirements. No, there would be carrots for doing things in building new buildings or redoing commercial buildings. Right now, the township has height requirements that doesn't allow people to put panels that, like on parking garages. The parking garages are all to 35 feet because they can get 3 levels. If they could go up another 8 feet, they could all have solar panels on all the parking garages. So we need to advocate with the township to change the zoning. So there's a special zoning ordinance for solar panels and for the additional height for solar panels on parking garages. I mean, a lot of it is very basic, and we're going to have to do it as volunteers for now because the township is really stuck money-wise.
So can I, this is going to be really annoying questions, but Donnell and I, at least me, we're new and we're going to have to back up and get some institutional knowledge if
Right.
Margie ever wants to give up her newly acclaimed title. I want to go back to what you said about your dad. You want justice, and what that translates to, at least, is you want to know how your taxes essentially that go to local government is being spent.
Right.
I don't know the connection, and this is again my ignorance, I'm sorry. I don't understand the connection between someone, a private developer putting up 44 houses and the township's spending of my property taxes. Can you help me with that?
Yeah. There are two issues. When you put up a new development, the builder or the project man, not the project manager, the builder,
Developer, yeah.
the developer, that's the word I was looking for, spends a great deal of money into the township for permits and for zoning and for, God, part of this COVID is that I can't find the words, for all the stuff, the grading permits, and when the houses are built, they're assessed and it gives revenue to the township. So there's a lot of money in for development.
Yep.
What it costs us is open space. We become more and more dense. And what I've learned from talking to Shade Tree and watching, because I don't only watch the commissioners meeting, I watch Shade Tree, I watch planning, I watch zoning if the issue is important, and I watch parks. People don't want trees planted on their properties now because they have to take care of them. So that's a problem. Although they're given the trees, 2-inch caliper trees for $35, and the township plants them. So what it does is it makes it more dense, and the township has more services. They have more roads to plow. They have more trash to pick up. They have more recycling, and that all costs money.
Right, but that's borne by, so the township, help me make my economic ROI case on this one. So the township gets a ton of money from the developers. They spend money with permits and zoning. They build these houses, these new houses. Now they start paying property taxes and all the stuff they built. Radnor Township's doing great, but there's a economic direct cost, which is the township now has to pick up more garbage, has to spend more money on recycling, has to spend more money on tree cleanup, has to spend more money on road infrastructure, things like that. And you're saying the economics are wrong? Are you saying that we lose money on these trades?
Well, I just did a whole thing on leaves because they were complaining that they can't pick up the leaves fast enough. So the leaves are in the edges of the streets, and then we get rainstorms, and then the leaves clog the drains, and then we have more flooding and people complain. So I just wrote a 3-page position paper advising them, climate change, the fact that they start in October to collect leaves. With climate change, the leaves are not coming down in October, and there are more leaves than they realize because under climate change, with increased CO2 and with the stress the trees are under, they're putting out more leaves, which is a protective thing for themselves. So I've proposed, I don't know whether they'll listen to me, it's not worth the paper it's written on if they won't even read it, that properties over a half an acre should be required to keep the leaves on their properties. Put up a piece of wire ring and get your leaves into it. And otherwise, they should make it easier for the residents, and that leaves have to be bagged.
Okay.
People don't want to do that. But the other reason I do it, Sid, is I live in Garrett Hill. I don't know whether you even know where it is.
I do. Yep.
Okay. Garrett Hill was ignored until 2003. I moved here in 1982. And until 2003, we were the pit of Radnor Township. And commissioners would say, oh, we're not going to go to Garrett Hill. That's where the grass cutters live. And we almost had our neighborhood destroyed by developers. And we, the neighborhood, rose up over 100 people who went to a meeting and said, no, you're not going to do that to us. And when they said, well, we'll hire a planner, and we said, no, we will choose who the planner is. You will not choose the planner, because the people who wanted to do it were developers. And they literally wanted to tear down Garrett Avenue and build all mixed use, retail on the first floor and apartments above it. And that would destroy, we have 4 generations of families that live here. And so I started going to meetings when that happened. I started in 98 when a commissioner who the rest of the board of commissioners had very little respect for, because he was, you can't see my quotes, he was only a house painter. So I thought there's only one way to make change, and that is to show up, make comments, and ask questions and advocate. That's why I do it. Because we're just, if you took the density of Ward 7, which is Garrett Hill, and a little bit of Aldwin Lane, because they did some horse trading the last time they set the wards, we probably pay more taxes net than any other ward in the township, because we have so many properties. And I feel very strongly about it, because it all really starts at the grassroots. And if you don't advocate, you get what you get.
So Sarah, the answer can't be, and thank you for this history, is so helpful. The answer can't be we're not going to allow any new development, period.
No. What they're going to do as much development as they can, because it increases the property taxes.
Right, increases the revenue base for Radnor Township, right?
Right.
So
for the residents, here's a piece of information you should know. You see the pandemic, Wayne, 51% of the revenue that comes into Radnor Township comes from the commercial entities. And we have a very high rate of vacancies. So the township really has very little money now. that isn't already allocated. There are no capital projects for 2001. And usually there are 3 or 4. And what they do now, the capital projects don't come out of current revenue. They borrow the money.
Okay. So again, I'm almost getting there. So you're saying that if Radnor Township's commercial enterprises, which already are zoned for and established, if they were doing better and generating more tax revenue, Radnor Township would take on less development projects because we're good. We don't need the cash.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think they would do it anyhow. Because in Pennsylvania, there's a thing called property rights. And you actually have a right to do anything within the zoning laws to your property. So in other words, Dodo Hamilton had, and she owns the Spread Eagle Village, or she did, and she lived near there. It's not called Spread Eagle Village anymore, but that's how old I am. She had one house and a greenhouse on the property. There's going to be 44 townhouses on that property going forward.
Right. Right. But I have to understand, and I'm sorry I'm being so dense. I have to understand why is that bad? Why do I hate that?
Well, I don't hate it, but just know there's going to be less open space. With less open space, you have less trees when it's filled with houses. And they use increased services. So the water bill is going to go up and the sewer fee is going to go up. And it's just the taxes are going to go up because they got to pay the trash and they got to pay the recycling. They got to do the roads and they've got to pay for the snow plowing and they have to take care of the parks. And there's this whole sort of package that are the services that Radnor Township offers.
So that to me is just math, right? I mean, if we're getting enough in terms of property taxes every year to cover the extra costs of the additional dudes that we need to do some leaf cleaning, then no big deal. What you got me with though was the first point, which is there's less grassy area, there's less place for stormwater to drain, and that becomes an issue. Now that should be a permitting issue, which I thought it was. I remember that area near Wegmans, that new village, what's it called? The town village or whatever that is.
Wegmans that's in King of Prussia. Yeah.
Right. But fair enough. Town center. Thank you. But there they weren't allowed to build until they found a place to put all that stormwater that they were going to create by virtue of taking over all that grassy area.
Well, so they have to do stormwater in Radnor, and they're about to rewrite, not amend, but rewrite the stormwater ordinance.
Good. So that's a good thing, right?
So that's a good thing. Yes. And the developer has to pay for it.
Perfect. So, I mean, developers, if they're taking over green area, they have to at least replace that with some other method. And I've seen that happen in across the country. Right. You can kind of create more marshland, or you build these terrible looking retention basins. You do something, right, to solve that. Yeah. So, okay.
So yeah, I mean, like Villanova, when they build new buildings, they have to, provide for stormwater and so. And Sid, I kind of agree. I'm not sure our place is to just oppose new construction. I think it's, maybe to make sure that, it's done properly with regards to, for instance, like Sarah mentioned, having the roofs face the right way and environmental things.
And that's the whole purpose of this transition plan.
Yeah. So yeah. And what I would like to see is we have some kind of maybe we narrow down what our mission is here for this next year and focus on a few projects or a few advisory pieces, and everybody could kind of, Sarah, you have this, this proposal that we support the green team. If everyone would have like a little thing, a proposal that maybe you want to send me, and I could put together some type of list that we could, and then we could choose what we want to focus on.
Right,
Because we
right.
tend to be very scattered, and then, we don't get anything
Done.
particular done. So,
Right. Right.
Yeah. So what do you all think about that?
Robin and I can do that. I mean, the first step is to get the commissioners to just accept the proposal. And the time limit is, it's 2030 and 2050. I mean, I don't think I'll even be alive in 2030. And I know I won't be alive in 2050, but it's to begin the process. One of the things is develop a program called Solarize Radnor. And it's going to be PR. It's going to be getting people interested. It's going to be indicating to the people how they go to a Google map. It's called Solar Google, and they can look and see where their house is and if it's appropriate for solar, or if you took the solar thing. This is just an example. One of the things that has to be done legislatively in Pennsylvania is to get Pennsylvania to pass legislation for community solar, which means, say, Margie, your house, it's not appropriate for solar, or you don't want to put it on, or your roof's too old, but you don't want to redo it. You'll be able to buy in to a community solar that is not located in Radnor. It may be located someplace in the middle of the state, but that's where you get your electricity, from a solar source rather than PECO, who only 12% of their electrical generation is solar. A great deal of it is still coal-fired plants. So maybe the EAC says, okay, we're going to focus on solar, developing a program for Radnor. Or we still have the whole issue of recycling. And I don't know whether any of you saw the article from the New York Times yesterday, where in the state of New York, they're proposing that the plastic that, name a firm that that makes it, they take it back for a price. So they pay for it for a price, so that you don't recycle all this stuff, which is, I'm afraid, is being burned. And so maybe I know that's something that Colleen was very interested in, but I'll send you this list. I
Okay.
just would love to we really need some support to get this thing done, because we don't think we're going to get money out of the township, and there's no way we could advocate for money next October, but we can't get any money before then.
So
It's
what
just
what is this green team, and how does it relate to us? And can I see a copy of this energy transition plan?
you will get a copy of the transition plan when it's on the 9th of February, if it's accepted.
I can't see a draft of what's going to the Board of Commissioners.
The draft isn't finished. I would encourage you on the 8th of February to tune in on Zoom. It starts at 6:30. I can even tell you where it is on the agenda, to watch the presentation by Practical Energy Solution. It's going to be a 20-minute PowerPoint. They're condensed, because the plan is everything from existing buildings, new buildings, transportation, heat. I mean, it's got a lot of components to it. So PES, which is Practical Energy Solutions, is making a presentation before the Board of Commissioners. It's all by Zoom on the 8th of February. So you get the heart of the plan. And if the township accepts it, we're not asking for money, we're just asking them to accept it.
Were they hired by the township to do this?
We got Robin and I talked the township into $38,000.
Okay, cool. And why, Sarah, again, okay, who's the green team then?
Well, it's Robin Mann. Robin Mann and I are part of the Ready for 100 program, which was developed by the Sierra Club.
Yeah.
And it's in counties all over the US, but it's very much concentrated in southeastern Pennsylvania. And we started talking about it with people, and people came forward and said, I'd like to be a part of it. So there are 8 of us to get it started, because if you get too big a group, and we wrote the RFP to get the professionals. And then we chose a firm. Fortunately, it was the cheapest firm. And we then went and solicited support from the Board of Commissioners. We went to each commissioner individually and told them why we thought they ought to give the money. And fortunately, 5 out of 7 do believe in climate change. 2 don't, but 5 did. And so they passed it, and we were very fortunate to get the 38 grand pre-pandemic.
So the 38 grand is for practical energy
This
solutions?
is what we've paid Practical Energy Solutions. Now, originally, it was all going to be done in open meetings with getting resident input and commercial input and stakeholders. But then we had the pandemic, and COVID shut it down. So, because we could only meet by Zoom. Nevertheless, we have Villanova, Mainline Health, Penn Med, the Radnor Corporate Center, that Brandywine Realties, and a couple of apartment houses. They were able to reach them by Zoom. And of course, we have this high school. The kids have a organization in the high school called Earth Action Leadership Conference, and they got a Ready for 100 commitment from the high school, from the Radnor Township School District. So we have the school district on board theoretically.
So Sarah, is this, help me again with this green team. So this is a group of vigilante
Volunteers.
activists that are in this community that have formed green team.
Yes.
They're all Radnor Township residents or not?
2 of them are not now because they moved.
Okay, great. And why don't we bring this into EAC or somehow?
That's what I'm sort of hoping, that it'll become a work group under the umbrella EAC, because the commissioners keep, when they get things like the recycling, the plastic bags, the saldo, they keep saying, oh, we'll give that to the EAC. So they keep assigning stuff to the EAC. So I thought I would propose it to you. You can all say no, or individually, if you want to get on board, we'd love to have you. I don't know what we're going to do about the 2 gals who've now moved to Berwyn. The 2 high school seniors we have who are extraordinary are both graduating and going off to college, but they have 100 kids in the high school on this Earth Action Leadership Conference. So this week, I'm writing the 2 gals, Allie Bauer and Becca Zajac, to say, would they begin to talk about maybe some juniors, so we would get 2 years, because they've got, what, 1,200 kids in that high school? That means, let's say we've got 900 families we can reach out to.
So Sarah, if we have a green team, why do we have an EAC or vice versa?
The green team came in under the EAC.
No, I don't think it was ever official part of the EAC, was it?
No.
No.
And why do you think I joined the EAC? I joined the EAC because I was doing this Ready for 100 business, and I was hoping that I would have another further way into the township leadership. Because if I was just nutty Sarah Pilling living in Garrett Hill, I have less credibility than I have Sarah Pilling, a member of the EAC. And I care for,
yeah, that's an issue probably.
well,
I'm just
an
kidding.
old bag, an old bag.
Just saying.
You guys, I hate to do this to you, but I gotta bail. I gotta get on another Zoom meeting in a few minutes.
All right.
So
Can we
have a good
continue?
night. Good luck with the green team, Sarah.
Thanks.
And
Well, I feel like
I'm trying to make it.
I feel like I'm trying to bamboozle you, but we need your help.
So thanks, Jim.
Yeah, there you go.
Bye.
So Sarah, it's unclear though that you said the green team is under the umbrella of EAC, but it sounds like the EAC would be under the umbrella of the green team.
No, the green team, it's not to be called the green team anymore. Somebody came up with the name. I don't quite remember what it was, but it's just an invitation to get on board.
So Sarah, since we have 2 openings, why does it make sense to encourage a few members of the former green team to apply to?
We can always put it out, but we're going to need more than that. I mean, we have a list, an email list of 300 people who wanted to be on the list for the Ready for 100. So once we get this thing accepted by the township, then we can put out an invitation, because one person, we don't want just one person developing Solarize Radnor. We'd like to get a team of grassroots people because it's more successful. You talk to your neighbor and he talks to his brother and the brother talks to his next door neighbor. And that's how you make this thing grow. It's not a top down, some of it's top down zoning and saldo, but a lot of it is, oh, gee, yeah, I can do that. Here's a simple thing. You have a Zoom meeting. This is an example. You have a Zoom meeting where Mike Schneller of PICO talks about the energy audits. In the past, if you had 20, which is normally $25 per household, if you had, in the past, if you had 20 people attend that meeting, you got that energy audit for free. So you get more and more people to do an energy audit, which says one of the things you get is essential bulbs. They put the light bulbs in. They give you all sorts of tips as to how you can reduce your energy output, which means that household saves money.
Hey, Sarah, can I just go back to the engagement with this, I forget what the consulting firm is called, but
Practical Energy Solutions, PES.
okay, so essentially you and Robin went to the board and proposed that they engage this firm or a firm in
Westchester.
Well, let me give you the steps. First, Robin and I developed a group of people who thought it was a great idea to sign a resolution with a goal of being 100% renewable energy by 2050, with a breakdown of partial by 2030. And we went to every commissioner and we got them to pass the resolution.
But essentially you went as private citizens?
So we went as representatives of Ready for 100, which is a strategic engagement by the Sierra Club.
Okay, but it's essentially you just went as, you know, a representative of this and a resident of Radnor. You wasn't
Right.
really, you didn't involve the EAC in it.
I wasn't a member of the EAC.
Okay, okay.
So we began to build momentum because it's all grassroots. In my opinion, a lot of stuff that happens in Radnor happens because of the grassroots. Instead of having 7 commissioners make the decision. So we got the resolution passed. Then out of the group, the 300 people who we had gotten gotten their email, and we were sending them this about the resolution and what the Ready for 100. You can go to the Sierra Club and look at their Ready for 100 program.
Okay.
So these people said, oh, I'd like to be on it. Katrina Ogilvy wanted to be on it. She used to be on Parks. And we solicited Ruth Levy, who lived in Radnor at the time, who's a public health nurse at Villanova, because we wanted to address the public health. Then Ruth Mooney, who used to live in Radnor at the St. David's, she had been a nurse, so she was very interested in the public health. Then the two teenagers from the Radnor High School sought us out and said, we've got this Earth Action, we want to be involved. And then Dan Burnham, who's a member of Central Baptist Church, he wanted to be on it. He's an engineer, and Central Baptist is a net zero building. It's quite amazing. And then we solicited another engineer. His name is Mark Muller. He's getting a PhD in environmental engineering from Villanova. So they all came together and we go, what are we going to do next? We've tapped into a lot of help by the Westchester group because they are 3 steps ahead of us. So this Ready for 100 in Delaware County, but the advisor is from Chester County. We've all worked together and shared resolutions. Anything one group learns, they share with everybody else. And we have about 15 people from various communities, and we meet once a month.
I think, Sarah, we need your guidance on how to interact with this green team. And we're obviously trying to find the right avenue. We don't know. So you got to tell us how you want to integrate or keep separate the two efforts. And not, I mean, the worst, I mean, it didn't, none of us want to duplicate effort, right? We don't want to do the same thing you're doing.
We definitely need to focus here. We do need to focus on some initiatives. And if it's so certainly being supportive of some of the green team initiatives, but I think we need to also define what we want to do here.
Right. I agree with you. I agree with you. And maybe one of the initiatives that's an early initiative that comes out of this energy transition plan becomes the focus of the EAC.
But we're going to look, I mean, I feel foolish having an energy transition plan presented to the commissioners and not having anything to do with it, given that we're part of this environmental advocacy council for Radnor. It's like, well, they're there, but they had nothing to do with the only initiative that's actually showing up in front of the commissioners. So,
well, you've just come, Sid. I've been talking about this to the EAC components of it for close to 2 years. I bring where we were, and no one, and would you like to get involved? And we were pretty amorphous because we were waiting for this energy plan to be developed.
But see, Sarah, that seems backwards. You're asking us if we want to get involved. We're trying to ask you, do you want to get involved here, right? I mean, I don't know which way it's supposed to go. I think we have a semi-official mandate to do something, and I feel like we're not doing it. And you are, and in an unofficial way. So there has to be synergies combining the two efforts somewhere.
That's the piece to look at. So if the energy plan is accepted by the township on the 8th of February, if everybody will send me their email, because I don't have you or Margaret or Donnell.
It's part of the emails we get.
So I will get those and put them into my address book, my contact list. If they pass it on the 8th of February, that night, I will mail you the plan. It is very extensive with hyperlinks that take you to other areas. And you can look at it and see if there's a piece of it that the EAC, I agree with you. Why should we? And so we're trying to figure out this merging. The easiest would be for the EAC at this point in time, say, fabulous, come under our umbrella. If that doesn't work, you want to just take a piece of one of the initiatives and run with it, we'll just stay. The township accepts the fact that we are the green team, although we should be merged, we're not. And we'll run with it. We're not going to not run with it.
I think, Sarah, it would make us feel more comfortable if we had an idea of what they were going to present on the 8th before they presented on the 8th.
They're going to present but see, I can't legally send you the report before the commissioners see it.
Well,
I don't
then we can't really support it though. If we don't know what we're supporting.
I'm not asking you to do it tonight. What I am inviting you to do is to watch the Board of Commissioners meeting on the 8th of February, when Practical Energy Solution is going to present a 20-minute PowerPoint and answer any questions for the commissioners. That's the next step. And that's totally up to you. The good news is you don't even have to watch it that night. You can watch it the next day on YouTube to see what the essence, because we met for an hour and 45 minutes to go through it. And so the decision, we chose the highlights. The committee, the green team, met with the principals at Practical Energy, and we picked what we thought were the key things for the township commissioners to hear. And that's what they're going to focus on in a 20-minute PowerPoint on the 8th of February. So if you guys would watch that, I think you will have an essence of the idea of where we're going. We're hoping that the township will follow along. It may take some very skillful work by us because we have no money. We have to do it as volunteers to convince people that they want to raise the thermostat on their air conditioning in the summer 3 degrees.
Thanks, Sarah.
Okay.
Margie, I think we should let the green team and Sarah run with their initiatives, and we'll see where it lands up next month. In the meantime, I think that at least 3 of us who's left here on the committee, and Sarah, of course, we should exchange some ideas on what else this committee could focus on. Maybe think about what liaisons we want to establish. I was thinking before the meeting that the Radnor High School would be a great place to get some inspiration and activism.
Yeah, I mean, way back when we said education was what should be one of our general focuses, and we had a number of proposals, and then we kind of lost everybody and have new people, and so we are yes, and we're very scattered. So if you and Donnell also want to share what you see.
I'll start an email chain with us and Sarah.
Yeah, and Sarah has as well.
Yeah,
and
to add a few
we'll try
ideas.
to pick a focus, because this is quite confusing to me, and we need some kind of focus.
We won't succeed otherwise. You're right.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things I noticed the other day, Margaret, as I was driving out of the Willows, is years ago, I believe it was the EAC, put some kind of an organic filter to go into the pond to keep it clean. And I don't think anybody's looked at it for years.
Yeah, we talked about that, I think, before you came. Yeah, I know.
I think one of the things to do, the way you get them to pay attention to it, is you bring it to their attention and you do a paper or you write a document to the commissioners that says, this is what it is, this is when it was put in, this is what it needs. You have to lift it up so it comes into their consciousness.
Right.
Because that pond is, last summer, it was covered with algae,
Yeah.
covered.
So I
So,
think our time is just about up here.
yes, it is.
And so everybody, you know, if we want to communicate with each other or something, and then I can put together an agenda for our next meeting, and we'll pick a focus. We'll by then, you know, maybe we'll have a chance to hear this, the initiative by the Practical Energy Solutions, and we can each also think of, you know, Sid and Donnell, you probably have some ideas, and we'll kind of hash out something that is smaller and focused, because I'm
It's-
overwhelmed.
It's a lot. It's a lot. Well, the other issue is the plastic bag and the recycling, but I don't know whether you want to take that on. I did file a right to know, and I have all the financial figures of the cost of trash and recycling for the last 3 years. Bottom line, the township is paying out $100,000 a year because there is no recycling. There's no money in it. So there is another issue the township needs help on. I know Colleen was very interested in it.
Okay, yeah, and I'll contact Colleen and see what's going on.
Well, I'm sorry I've overwhelmed you. It is an enormous topic, but the truth of it is we really only have till 2030 before climate change may possibly overwhelm us.
Yeah.
You all,
So-
I have to go.
Me
Okay,
too.
well, I guess
Bye.
we're adjourned. Yeah, Ian, if you know, we're adjourned.